Chris closes your deals. Guys, Chris is a great closer. If you guys need help closing deals,
the name of the game is speed to lead. If you're looking to improve your lead management, let's connect. So it's time to make it easy.
Hello.
Hi, is this Linda?
It is.
Hi, Linda. My name's Chris. I'm Brad's partner.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good.
Are you in California right now, or are you over in North Carolina?
I am in California. My plan was the end of the month, but I don't know if I'm going to make it by then or not.
Yeah, I think Brad mentioned you already have a place out there, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I have a cute little house on a lake.
Oh, that's
That,
sweet.
yeah, it's very cool. So.
Perfect. Okay. Are you able to swim in the lake?
Yeah, so it's the name of the lake is Lake Tillery, and it's all water sports and swimming and boating and kayaking and paddle. I mean, it's just everything you can do. The one thing about, I don't know if you've been to lakes on the East Coast, but they're kind of murky.
Yep.
So I'm not sure
they all
I would
look
want
brown.
to swim in it, but all the locals do.
Yep. Yeah, they all look brown. I grew up in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
We have property up in the Poconos,
Uh-huh.
and there's a lake on it, and yeah, every lake you go to is all brown, basically.
Yeah, it's hard to get used to when you're used to clear water here in California, you know.
Yeah.
But I love boating. I don't necessarily love being in the water. I love being on top of it, so it works.
Nice. Well, I'm sure
Yeah.
that's going to be awesome I hear you're having a grandbaby, so that's exciting.
I am. Yes, it is. Very excited. Finally, I can spend time with one because of the timing. So that'll be nice.
Yeah. When's the grandbaby due?
November,
Oh.
November around the 20th. Yeah.
Nice. My wife and I were expecting December 12th.
Oh, nice!
So,
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
so exciting.
We're actually
Yeah, very
adopting,
exciting.
so the baby will be born December 12th.
Oh, nice.
It's been a
Aw.
huge blessing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I know we didn't get on the phone to get into the baby talk, as exciting as it is. So
Yeah.
I want to be respectful of your time and see what we can do to help you out here. So I'm curious, because it sounds like you got a great property out there. You got the horse arena and everything, and
Mhm.
really nice property and everything. So I'm curious, is there any other reason that you're looking to sell other than to be closer to the grandbaby?
No. It's a bigger property, and I'm single, and I want to also retire. And I bought the house bought it 10 years ago when I did have horses and cats, and I also run a business out of 2 of the bedrooms. But now that I'm going to retire from my business, I don't need so much space. So, it's a good property, but it's more than I need, and there's money there that I could use in other places.
Yeah.
So that's it. I mean, I love it. It's a beautiful, beautiful home, and it's a beautiful community. But
Yeah.
my grandbaby is in North Carolina, and she's not moving to California. So
Yeah. I don't blame her.
yeah, I don't either.
I'm sure you know this already, just, seeing as though you're a tax professional, so I'm sure you deal with people in the industry and everything.
Yeah.
You definitely picked probably the worst time to sell a house over $1 million in California.
Oh, I can't even tell you how bummed I am about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been crazy. So I have another client that I'm working with who they're down in South County, and there's the agent that they were working with initially, they had an exact model match that they sold in March that was basically identical condition, all the features and everything, sold for 1.5, and now he's struggling to get 1.1 for it, and it's fallen out of escrow 3 or 4 times already. It's just been a nightmare. And I'm one of the few, I have a lot of friends here in San Diego that are buying and flipping homes and investing, and there's probably, I don't know, 4 of them that I know that are still actively buying right now. Everybody's kind of holding tight just because, especially at the $1 million price point and up, because that's usually what gets hit the hardest first.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, I mean, it's going to be a challenge. I think
Mhm.
Brad mentioned you were hoping to get somewhere around 1.1. You know, we ran the comps, all of the comps. I think it's worth that, you know, without the interest rates being what they are. The challenge is with the interest rates and everything going down, all of the comps that have sold recently, every one of them has a pool and yours doesn't. And they've all been kind of dropping their prices a bit. So I don't think I'm going to be able to get you what you're looking for. But I might have some ideas for you that could help you sell it if you're open to some like non-traditional methods and get you like more money for it. And, you know, and being a tax professional, I mean, you'll understand some of the differences in how you can kind of shelter your taxes. What did you buy it for when, because you've been there for a while, right?
I've been there 9 years or so, and I bought it for $542. It was a bank foreclosure. And so, you know, it had sold for $900,000 to the buyer before me. And then, of course, you had the 2008 tank, and they weren't able to hang on to the property. And then I got it out of the foreclosure. I got a good deal on it. You know, I'm aware of that, and I don't need to, you know, I'm not looking to make I'd love to make a fortune, wouldn't we all? But I am also smart enough to know that timing really stinks.
Yeah.
And, you know, and just so you know, it is, as I told Brad, right?
Yep.
It cost me so little to have this property. I mean, it's just next to nothing to have it. So if I need to sit on it a while, but we don't know what the economy's going to do. This thing may go on like this for a while. And with the interest rates up, you know, it takes the buyer pool is shrunk unless we can find a cash buyer that doesn't have to worry about interest rates. So I get what's happening here, and it stinks, but you know, we're all in the same boat, I guess.
What is your current interest rate on the property?
I took that loan out in March to buy the North Carolina property, so I think it's around, I could look it up on my phone, I think it's maybe 4.5.
4.5. Okay. And what's the balance on that? Is it like right around 400?
Yeah.
Got
It's the high threes. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. And correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to presume, but from the sounds of it, right? So if you bought it at 542, you said you're not married, right? So the only cap gains exemption you'll have is up to about right around 800, and then anything over that, you're going to have cap gains on, right?
Well, I did put a lot into the property, so I think I could probably come up with a couple $100,000 in improvements pretty easily. So I think we want to work with, you know, and I get the 250 exclusion. So let's say 550, 650, 758. You know, $1,050,000 would probably be a more realistic.
Okay, got it. So you might be in a position, you know, even if you sold it for 1.1, you'd have like maybe 50 grand that's taxable for cap gains.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right, so you're not in a terrible spot there.
No.
Okay, so first off, like, just to be clear, I'm not going to be your buyer on this at those numbers, but I do want to see if I can help kind of steer you in a direction that'll get you closer to what you're looking for. But let's say you got 1.1, right, and you paid off your 400K, so now you're sitting on like ostensibly 600 to 700K. Like, is that just going to go in the bank? You're going to pay off the other house, or what's kind of your plan with that?
I don't have any other debt in regards to, because when we pay off the Valley Center house through escrow, that's the only loan I have for any of my properties.
Okay.
So I also have rental properties in Florida. I have a couple duplexes, or a duplex in Florida that's debt free, and then Valley Center is theoretically debt free because that loan is tied to North Carolina. So I only need to pay off North Carolina, and then I don't have any debt at all. So I have, you know, the cash does not have a designated home.
Got it. Okay. And what's the debt? So the debt for the North Carolina home is the mortgage balance that you have, roughly, like part of that.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because here's what I'm thinking, right? You know, you can obviously tell me, you know, like, no, I'm not even remotely interested in something like that. But to get what you're looking for, have you considered doing any type of like seller carry or anything like that, where, you know, you can basically seller finance, pack in a little bit of interest, maybe offer somebody a better interest rate than what the mortgage companies are going to offer, So now they have a reason to pay you a little bit more for the property than what the market's telling them to pay you. And then now you kind of solve all the problems, right? Because you can do a couple things here. You can do, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but you can sell a home on a subject to the existing mortgage, where they took over the existing mortgage payment, and then seller finance your equity. And now you're basically upgrading yourself from the landlord to the lender. And now you're just getting cash flow without having the responsibility of maintaining the property.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm not opposed to that type of situation, as long as I would have the first position on the property, and if they default, I get the property back, right?
Yep. Yeah. The only way you'd be able to do that is if you were willing to pay off the mortgage, or you got somebody that was going to come up and pay $400,000. But I think in that scenario, you're going to shrink your buyer pool more, because the reality is, right? So let's just walk through like a couple scenarios.
No, I don't need to be in first position if the loan is existing, the one I have.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the house is worth 3 times that, theoretically. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to take that statement back. So that wouldn't be, I'd want to be in second, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's something you could possibly do, now obviously, I mean, that type of price point home, you're already, a smaller buyer pool, but I think there's a way, you could position this out there and offer it out there, like, hey, open to subject to and seller financing on this, and then, get somebody to come in, and maybe we refer to them as penalty box buyers. So where it's like somebody who, I mean, you're a tax professional, so I'll just shoot it straight with you, right? Somebody who like writes off way too much income, can't get approved on a mortgage, or, business owner, 1099,
under the table people. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
They just can't show
the
market. Yep, exactly. So, but they can afford it. And we work with underwriters that will do the full loan origination, underwrite them and everything, and make sure that they're legit and put the right instruments in place for protection, but have them come in, and maybe you get like, I don't know, 10, usually those types of buyers will come in with about 10% down, not a whole lot more than that. And then you can make, then you can get a monthly payment from them. They can pay the monthly payment to the mortgage, and then make a monthly payment to you. And now you're cash flowing on this thing, for the next 20, 30 years, or however you want to structure it. Oftentimes people will do like a 30-year amortized, and then they'll do like a 10-year balloon or 15-year balloon, and that person will refinance you out at that time to settle the whole debt. Is that something that you've considered before?
I really haven't considered it, but I'm not opposed to it.
Okay.
Because like I said, I really don't have anywhere that I'm going to park that money. I don't have any, I certainly don't want to put it back in the stock market.
Oh,
so,
God, no.
So it's either going to sit in the bank and earn 2% interest at best with where I currently have funds.
Which is still a negative 6% or negative 7% with inflation. So
exactly. So I'm not opposed to something like that if they're willing to come in at the price for the benefit of their inability to qualify. Usually people will pay a little more for that.
Yep. Yeah, so absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've worked with homeowners in the past on deals like this. Now, the way it works, because, I can't commit and say, yeah, we can definitely find you that buyer, right? So I can't really come in and put, my business on the line to like make that happen. However, what we normally do is we'll facilitate that process. Like I have a pretty big team where we would, put out the feelers, in a bunch of different areas to bring that buyer and facilitate the transaction. It's not going to be something like by the end of this call, you're like, okay, cool, let's move forward. It's probably going to take us 3, maybe 4 calls to like really iron all the details out. But I would be fine with kind of coming alongside of you and partnering up on this to basically, structure it the right way and then bring it out to the people that we know kind of fit that demographic, and try to bring the right buyer and then just facilitate the transaction for you. And, in that scenario, we would just get like a small amount from the down payment that the buyer brings. It's nothing crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you'd be open to working together on?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
As long as I'm protected, and that's going to be important.
Yeah.
And, if this is what you do, I would hope that you are professional and you know what you're doing, but we would want to make sure we checked all the boxes and make sure that I would have recourse and whatnot. And, it definitely is a possibility.
Okay. All right. So why don't we do this? Because it sounds like you're not necessarily in like a huge rush. It sounds like you'd like to move quickly, but, it's more about getting the amount that you want to get. Why don't you take the week, kind of think about, okay, if you were going to do something like that, what would be like a down payment that you would be comfortable with from this end buyer? And then what would be a monthly payment that you would be reasonably open to? And then I can kind of work with my team. We'll plug some things into a spreadsheet and then see how that looks on the back end for the end buyer and how we could kind of position it. And then, we can kind of dive into the details and see how that would work.
Okay, that sounds good. Now, you said normally that these private lenders would do a lower rate because that is a incentive for these buyers. So what rate should I use in my calculation on my monthly cash flow?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the way I always think about it, like when we're doing these deals, because we do some of these deals ourselves as well, where we'll buy a property and then we'll position it this way. What I'm always thinking about is, okay, I want to get an interest rate that's going to be reasonable for me, but I also don't want to get an interest rate that is going to basically push somebody to want to refinance as quickly as possible, because otherwise I'm not really getting the benefit of that interest rate. The other scenario, and this doesn't always work, but sometimes it makes more sense if you're like, okay, well, this person's probably going to want to refi me out anyway. So what if I just went with a higher principal amount and did like 0% interest? Because sometimes that will be an incentive to have somebody like, heck yeah, I want 0% interest. And the incentive for you is a higher principal amount. So even if they refied you out in 1 year, 2 year, 10 years, like you're getting the higher principal. You know what I mean? That's kind of like the range that I think through. But obviously you want to think about what's going to be reasonable and comfortable for you. So I would factor it. We usually, when we do these types of transactions, we amortize them over 30 years on a seller finance. And then depending on the seller, like I'll give you an example. We had a guy that one of my partners worked with out in North Carolina. It was like a 50-unit multifamily development. And the guy structured 0% seller financing over 50 years. And I forget what the interest rate was, but it was a reasonable interest rate. But for him, the reason he was doing it that way was because of tax purposes. He was trying to spread out his tax burden over the longest period of time, and he knew he was going to leave that eventually to his kids. His situation, it was different. So everybody's a little bit different in what structure they're looking for. So yeah, you might want to put just a little bit of thought into, like how much would be nice to have right up front. Like I said, most of the time, these types of penalty box buyers, they're not really coming with much more than 10%. If they do, it's kind of like the exception to the rule. Usually like somewhere between 8 and 12% down is what most of these guys will be feasible with. And then figure out what a monthly payment would be comfortable for you, and then we can just kind of back it into the amortization schedule and figure out what that would look like.
Okay, and then we would be able to structure it so they would be able to assume that loan, even if it's not assumable. Is it a wraparound type of thing that happens?
So it wouldn't be an assumption of a loan. It would be subject to. So what that means is basically the title transfers, the mortgage stays in your name, and then the payments are made on your behalf. Now, the way you're protected in that scenario is we structure what's called a performance deed. And basically what this is we file a deed in lieu of foreclosure and a performance deed in the default terms that basically says if they're 31 days late with a payment, then the title automatically gets pushed back to you as the original seller. Sometimes we'll work it out, like if we structure the deal right and we're all we're all working together on this. Sometimes, if it makes sense, we'll even put ourselves kind of in the middle of that and say, you know, okay, we get first right to like pick up the payments and keep the thing going, and then find another end buyer that could step in. But basically, you're protected in a way where the title would automatically be able to transfer back if payments weren't made with 31 days. So.
Okay, well, that sounds very interesting, because really is probably what I would do with that cash anyways, is buy another rental property, which I really prefer not to have. I'd prefer to have an interest payment, to be honest with you.
Got it. Okay.
I'll run some numbers to see where I'd like my monthly cash flow to be, and then we'll talk when you get back.
Okay, yeah, that sounds awesome. And then in the meantime, while you're thinking about that, you mentioned some properties in Florida. We're buying all over the country. Are those on the table for sale at all?
You know, not right now.
Okay.
It could happen down the road a bit, and you know, I'll certainly be. We have a relationship now, so we'll be in touch, and you'd be my first person. But right now, they're generating about $3,000 a month in cash flow, which is nice to have. Awesome. And I've got some great tenants, so that property I'm going to hang on to for a bit longer.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, very interesting concept, but it's I actually like it.
Awesome. That's great. Well,
okay. Well, so you'll call me when you get back?
Yep. Yeah, we'll talk to you when we get back. And in the meantime, if you come up with any questions, Brad knows just enough to make him dangerous. So his nickname around the office here is Dr. Dangerous, because he's got the handwriting of a doctor, and he knows just enough to make him dangerous. So we'll circle back with you when I get back.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time, and hopefully we can make something work.
Awesome. Sounds good. You're awesome, Linda. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. And congratulations again on the baby, and I'm excited to hear what you're having.
Thanks. You too. Do you know what your grandchild's going to be?
Yeah, she's a little girl, and they're naming her Rosie.
Oh, so, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm excited for you.
Very cute. So, yeah, super exciting. Yeah.
Great.
All right.
Well, we'll talk
enjoy
soon.
Tomorrow. That's okay.
All right. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Feeling like Pace Morby right now with that call. That was a freaking stellar call. So if you guys like that and you want to see more of those types of conversations, definitely hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and I would love to see your comments on what you liked about that call, what you didn't like, what you would have changed. And if you have questions about like why I kind of positioned it the way that I did, then I would love to see those in the comments, and we'll make sure to answer any questions that you guys have. Stay tuned for the next seller call, and we'll see you on the flip side. Peace out, guys.